Welcome to a brief history of interval training. Today, in the world of exercise and sports, interval training is normal practice. Commonly referred to as HIIT, high-intensity interval training has featured in the top 10 fitness industry trends for the last 10 years. Originally used for athletes to improve their performance, interval training involves a series of high-intensity exercises alternated with low-intensity exercises or rest periods. Interval training has a relatively long tradition. Rumour has it may have started sometime around the year 1912. In 1912, the 10,000 metre Olympic Championship runner, Hannes Kolomainen of Finland, was using the training method of 5 to 10 repetitions at his specific 10-kilometre race pace of 3-minute Ks before winning the 10,000 metre event at the Olympics. In the 1920s and 1930s, coach Lauri Pakala continued the development of these earlier HIIT methods with athlete Paavo Nurmi. At that time, he was one of the best middle and long distance runners in the world. Nurmi was also known as the Flying Finn and set 22 official world records at distances between 1,500 metres and 20 kilometres, winning 9 gold and 3 silver medals in his 12 Olympic Games events. The Flying Finn had a daily routine that consisted of, in the early morning, he would walk 10 to 12 kilometres, interspersed with a sprint. Following that, he would have a generic gym session and a bath. 1 hour later, his main training was 4 to 5 80 to 120 metre sprints, then high-speed running for 400 to 1,000 metres, then finishing off with 3,000 to 4,000 metres of high-speed running. His evening training was a cross-country run of 4,000 to 7,000 metres, followed by 4 to 5 120 metre sprints. Gösta Holmer was born on the 23rd of September 1891 and was a Swedish athlete who competed in the 1912 and 1920 Olympic Games. Holmer won Swedish titles in pentathlon, decathlon and hurdles. In the 1930s, Holmer developed the fartlek interval training technique while coaching the downtrodden Swedish cross-country team. Fartlek means speed play in Swedish. This concept was faster than race pace and concentrated on simultaneous speed endurance. This training method was proved successful and has been adopted by many coaches, athletes and physiologists around the world. Some call this the birth of interval training. Fartlek involves a continuous run in which periods of faster running are mixed with periods of easy or moderate paced running. Athletes were allowed to repeat as they wished but were instructed to ensure they always felt fresh. When perceived fatigue approached a high level, they were requested to stop the session. Following these earlier developments in Finland and Sweden, the German coach Waldemar Gressler continued to popularise the use of intervals with the runner Rudolf Harbig, who established an astonishing 800 metre world record in 1939. Dr. Waldemar Gressler was a pioneer, attempting to base his training methods on physiological and psychological principles. For physiology, he teamed up with cardiologist Dr. Herbert Reindel. They applied Gressler's understanding of the importance of cardiovascular conditioning in the search for a training method that would maximize the size, fitness, and efficiency of the heart. Gressler and Reindel initially carried out experiments with 3,000 subjects, each one completing a 21-day period of precise heart rate controlled training. They found an increase in the heart volume by 1/5 after this short period and significant improvements in performance. From this experience, they devised the form of repetition training where an athlete would run over a relatively short distance, such as 200 metres, at a relatively fast pace a number of times. The name of the system, interval training, because the rest or recovery period between the runs was considered the most important and vital part of the training. During the interval, the heart adapts, growing larger and stronger. Gressler's interval training showed improvements in performance. In the 1950s, Czech long-distance runner Emil Zatopek performed short interval training. He developed his own training regime that combined sprints and longer runs, based loosely on what he had read about the great Paavo Nurmi. Emil is considered one of the greatest long-distance runners of all time, known to many of his fans as the human locomotive for his relentlessly hard training and his success at the 1948 Olympic Games, where he won the 10,000 metre gold medal. He also achieved a unique treble at the 1952 Olympics in Helsinki. He won the 5,000 metres, 10,000 metres and the marathon, a feat which had never been achieved before. In the early 1970s, interval training got the attention of researcher Edward L. Fox and his colleagues. Fox and his team conducted a number of studies. These include intensity and distance of interval training programs and changes in aerobic power, the effect of interval training on systolic time intervals, frequency and duration of interval training and changes in aerobic power. A book called Interval Training, Conditioning for Sports and General Fitness was eventually published. In 1996, Dr. Izumi Tabata from Japan set the stage for high-intensity interval training as we know it today. Before Izumi Tabata's groundbreaking 1996 study, the Tabata Protocol, he had published research on the aerobic and anaerobic systems. Put simply, long and short form energy systems. Dr. Tabata ran many studies with sprint-style protocols to see how and when the different energy systems were triggered. He set out to create a training protocol that would best improve the efficiency of ATP, the molecule that essentially breaks down food and turns it into energy. Dr. Tabata teamed up with Urasawa Koichi, a Japanese speed skating coach. Koichi had developed a training program of short maximum bursts of sprints, followed by short periods of rest, and claimed that the program improved peak performance in elite speed skating athletes. Tabata dedicated his efforts to creating a protocol that could produce results across the map for various athletes. The year 2000 began an explosion of work in the area of interval training research, beginning with Billet's work that focused on aerobic and anaerobic interval training for runners. Lawson and Jenkins reviewed the physiological basis for interval training across individual athlete-based endurance sports. An outpouring of academic research followed, literally thousands of papers on HIIT, from both areas of sports application and exercise science. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed a brief history of interval training.